So this week, so humbled and honored to be able to get Mr. Martin Ruof on. Martin is an absolute icon, like I shared with you earlier, in all of World Ventures. This is a gentleman that has built monster teams, not only all across North America, into South America, over in Oceania, all over the world. This gentleman trains, normally speaks in stadiums. This is a gentleman that is obviously at the highest rank in our company, international marketing director, earns well over $1 million a year using World Ventures. Amazing husband. He lives right here in Minnesota. Met the love of his life. They have a recent brand new baby as well. Just all around one of the most genuine, down-to-earth people you're ever going to meet. If I didn't tell you all of his credentials, you can see he's a very sharp, successful guy, but he is so humble, which is one of the most rare things. I mean, there are some people that are successful and they don't know how to be humble about it. This is one of the most humble, down-to-earth people you will ever meet. He is a servant leader. And like I said, he is one of the biggest monsters in all of World Ventures. Our company would not be the company it is if it wasn't for Mr. Martin Ruof. And I'm so thankful we have him to share over the next 45 minutes or so with everyone on some business building things. So without further ado, again, $1 million earner, Mr. IMD, Martin Ruof. Martin, did you make the call? Oh,
yes.
There we go. Perfect. Hey, brother, I appreciate you so much for jumping on. But please take it away if you would, kind of maybe share a little bit more of your story. We can kind of go back and forth from there.
Yeah, absolutely. First, let me just put on my glasses, make sure I can see everything. All right, good. So, man, I want to thank you for having me on, David. I really do appreciate it. I know we've been working on this for a while, and it's just an honor to be on. I love these calls. I've snuck in on a few of them, and you've had just some amazing training, great insights, and first and foremost, congratulations on all your success. What you and Crystal have accomplished is remarkable, and it's also very possible when you make the decision to do it. And I love the way you show up, man. I love your leadership, love your passion and your fire. I know you've worked very closely with David Peach, and whom I have, so much respect for. I've learned a tremendous amount from David, still do, and it just really shows in your leadership. And it's interesting because there's that great saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. And we all know what's been happening over the last several years with months, it feels like years, with the pandemic, and just there's the pandemic with coronavirus, and then there's this major pandemic of fear that's been going on as well. And I just think that, I'm going to put my hat on because my coronavirus hair is a little much, but the pandemic of fear, and there's that great saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. And you, my friend, have exemplified that notion, that philosophy. You have been able to use this opportunity and make the absolute most of it. So my hat's off to you. So with that said, my story is pretty simple, really. It's I got started with World Ventures, 14 years ago. At the time, I was waiting tables, living in LA, and like probably everybody on this call, I was so freaking hungry for more. I was sick and tired of doing what I was doing. I wasn't getting paid what I was worth, and I knew it. And I just didn't have a better opportunity. And I kept looking for something, but I didn't know really what to sink my teeth into. I got introduced to this by Carrie and Leisha Schneider, the twins. And, keep in mind, when I met them, they were $50,000 in debt. Right now, they're multimillionaires. And, and it all happened for them because of World Ventures. It changed my life as well. I was living in a one-room apartment in Venice Beach. I was driving a beat-up Toyota Corolla. I literally had to roll my window down with two hands and open up my, to open up my own car door. I had to use two hands to open it. It was just a piece of junk. And I'm like, God, man, I was 33 years old at the time, and I'm going, I can't freaking keep driving this car for another 5 years, let alone another one. And, I didn't want to keep waiting tables. And when this opportunity came up, I didn't understand everything right away, but I had the presence of mind to recognize that this was a strong opportunity because of the travel, which is something that I just figured everybody's going to want to do it. I didn't need to really go out and sell it. I just needed to invite people to go check it out. And then the fact that you can make money sharing with other people, to me, was just a flat out no-brainer. And I couldn't understand why everybody I showed this to didn't get it, you know? But the cool thing is that the right people got it at the right time. And we just went after it. And it, you know, as you said, I mean, it turned into a multi-million-dollar business, you know. I mean, it profoundly changed my life in a major way, you know, in a major way. So.
Well, and what's so cool with you know, not only your story, but just generically what we can do with a vehicle like World Ventures. Like, you know, a good friend of mine, Melanie Levitz, is on your team. She just became the newest $1 million earner in World Ventures. Like, it's cool, you know, a lot, like, I've been working with a lot of athletes recently, Martin, and like, I'll talk to them about this a lot of like, okay, that's great. You make it to the league. Well,
Yeah.
you can't bring your 6 boys with you and say, I'm not signing unless you sign them too. Or, you know, I went to school to be a chiropractor, and if I became the most successful doctor in the United States, well, that's great. But what can I do to go and help other, you know, from a financial standpoint, what could I have done? You know, am I supposed to hire them to be the chiropractors too? That doesn't work. They got to go to school for that. They wouldn't have been qualified to do that. But here, like, the more people you go help get what they want, you're automatically getting what you want. And like, it's, you know, people can hear, oh my gosh, this big successful guy, blah, blah, blah. But to me, what's so cool is you get to that point with using this vehicle because you help other people. And again, you're a perfect testament to that. Just help somebody else make 7 figures who had, I don't think, ever even done anything like this before. I know that's how I was. My wife and I had never done anything like this before, but people forget that. Like, I can appreciate you being humble enough to share that kind of a story, because so many people, they like compare someone's chapter 20 to their chapter 1. And, you know, you're like I said, you know, you're as humble as they come to, but I think that your heart on your sleeve, like, really does help impact people in understanding that, like, it doesn't matter where you're at right now, you can change that. I mean, you were in your early 30s and went, I'm going to do something to change this. So, you know, there's a lot of people in their 20s listening to this. And it's like, you know, we're in such a microwave society where they're sitting there going, okay, if I don't get my 4 this month, or if I don't start making $1,000 a month, you know, by 3 weeks from now, this just didn't work. And it's just like, I just laugh at that when I look at, you know, people like you and the leaders you've created in your team. You know, like you said, 14 years later, still collecting a check from something that, you know, you went and started well over a decade ago. And to me, that's why this is so worth getting good at. Maybe even touch a little on that, because I mean, you've seen a lot. I mean, I'm sure you've seen good years, bad years. You've seen World Ventures and, you know, quote unquote good times, bad times. I mean, again, no business is perfect and everything, but like, I just have so much respect for people that can see the vision, and that's what I fell in love with right away with World Ventures too. I didn't join this to have a good month or a good year. I joined this because I wanted to keep getting paid for decades to come. And I, you know, maybe just touch a little, like, I mean, I know you're on the President's Advisory Council with World Ventures. Like, you know, very, very little decisions ever would come through without you being a huge part of that and everything. Like, you know, obviously been in for 14 years. I can tell you're still very excited. Like, you know, what's your kind of take on where we're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, you just said a whole lot in there, and I love it. You know, I'll get to where my take on where we're at right now and where we're going is I'm freaking jacked out of my mind. And, you know, I think the last thing you mentioned was boot camp. You know, I think, you know, we got boot camp coming up in a week, and it's going to be an epic event. And then, yes, there's going to be some incredible announcements. But here's one of the things that, you know, you're either a product of your circumstances or you're a product of your decisions. And at some point, you have to make the choice which one you're going to, who you're going to be. And what's great about this opportunity is that you have the decision, you have the opportunity to make the decision to surround yourself with extraordinary people that already have what you're looking for. And you're right, you can't, you know, athletes can't bring their 6 friends with them, you know, to join the team. But in this, you can bring 6 who then choose to bring 6, who choose to bring 6, who choose to bring 6. And it just continues to perpetuate that way. And what's killer about this is that it's so freaking simple. It's not always easy. It's not get rich quick. I mean, some people do extremely well. David Peach was a great example of that. Took me 2.5 years to reach international marketing director. Hell, if it took you 10 years, if it took you 15 years, would it be worth it? And I kept asking myself that question, and it always came back to, hell yeah. Because what do I have that's going to be better than this? And the reality is that this is the vehicle that originally helped create financial freedom for me. It got me out of the restaurant industry. It helped me buy a new car. It helped me move out of my 1-room apartment, because those were the immediate needs and desires that I had. And then over time, as I continued to show up for it and surround myself with the thinking that outthought me, In other words, surrounded myself with people like David Peach, Troy Brown, Byron Shrug, Wayne Nugent, all these, big thinkers. It elevated my thinking as well. And I started wanting more. And so the more I wanted, the more I started playing at a bigger level. And that is the key to this whole thing, is to play to your strengths and continually play at a higher level. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, that I've seen, is to continue to surround yourself with the people that are outperforming you and seek to catch them, seek to beat them. And what's great about this platform is that no one here is going to push you down. We all want you to succeed. You're right. Melanie is in my organization. I didn't sponsor Melanie. I didn't sponsor the person that sponsored her. That's the cool thing about this. So, as Melanie grows, as Melanie succeeds and her team grows, yeah, obviously it helps me and it helps a lot of other people. So yeah, I mean, the platform is remarkable, and it was remarkable 14 years ago when we started with 12 dream trips. 12, that was it, 12. We were so jacked out of our minds. We were like, oh my God, one trip a month, that's amazing. We weren't doing that. I took one trip my first year, and then the second year we added, I think we went up to 25 trips, and then it went to 50, and now we're doing, thousands of trips a year. But all that I've seen, like all that we've accomplished in the last 14 years, I honestly, I think it pales in comparison to where we are going. And bear in mind, we've built this whole thing essentially off of one core product, which is Dream Trips. It's, these amazing, experiences, travel and vacation experiences. We've done billions of dollars off of that one core product. And now that we are expanding it, I got to be a little careful about what I share. I know some people may know what's going on, but we're expanding it so that, yes, travel is still the centerpiece of what we're offering. And we've got some ancillary things, ancillary products, services that will support that. And they just make sense. And it's all designed. And look, I mean, yes, it's all designed to add value, of course. It's designed to put more money in your pocket. Because I don't know about you, but I'm certainly doing this to make money. Yes, to make an impact. But yeah, I want to make money. I mean, especially right now with what's happening, around the world, the financial system is, it's crumbling. So doesn't it make sense to build a strong foundation financially with something that you can actually, honest to God, control? You can't control your job. You can get fired like that. You can't control that, but you can't control this because you really can't get fired from it. As long as you're operating in the policies and procedures, obviously, but you are in complete control. And that's why I started this by saying you're either a product of your circumstances or you're a product of your decisions. And when people grasp that, especially brand new people that just got started, I just wish I could inject you with the same exact vision that I have, that David has, that you could see what the next 10, 15, 20 years of your life will be like if you just do what David's doing, if you just do what the leaders are doing in this business. Holy smokes. I don't even think it will take 10 to 15 years. I think it could take 2 to 5 years, 2 to 4 years. So where we're going, I'll say it this way. I think the timing could not be better. That the circumstances around the pandemic and all the financial collapse, globally, I think it forced us to move a little bit faster with something we were already doing, which was building Dream Body and some other things. And we're stepping up, man. We're stepping up into the modern age with some technology that's going to blow people away. There's something in particular that, from a technological point of view, is honestly beyond. Some people won't even understand how this thing works, but it's freaking badass. And anyway. So.
Well, and again, this is what I love anytime I can hear it. So we've been in World Ventures for about 9 years. Again, you said a little over 14 for yourself. It's just fun to watch. And I always tell new people, like, I think of World Ventures like Apple in the regards of they continue to adapt. They continue to get better. So, like you shared, when you started, there was 12 dream trips. In case you guys didn't know, I didn't share that in the product part. We had thousands last year. on top of all the other memberships and everything else that comes with it. But the vision that they had, over a decade ago, built the foundation to where we are now. And what I'm so excited about, I feel like we're in a, basically a 15-year-old company that is a brand new company with a 15-year head start,
That's right.
where the opportunity is there without the risk of imagine just trying to go, and start something brand new from scratch and have no track record and everything else. Like, that's some scary stuff. That's some real, risky business. Whereas you have something like this that's been around for, past the test of time, got through, so much of that foundation part. And we still have that opportunity without all of that risk attached to it. Like that's what gets me so excited. And again, I think you hit it right on the head. Like you become the people you surround yourself with. Like, you hang around with 9 negative broke bums. Who do you think number 10 is going to be?
Absolutely.
Like, for real. I watch this all the time. New people get all excited, but then they just sit around and, keep playing, 2K with all of their buddies who aren't doing anything except whining and complaining. It's like, Matt Morris talked about this. I like to go back to this too, Martin, where, if you're the kind of person that is going to sit there and, you'd rather watch TV, play video games, just go party at the club, don't know what you're celebrating. Like, you're sitting there, you're nowhere near your goals that you'd want to be. Your life is either the exact same or even worse than it was 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years ago. But we just continue to party on and live for that one Friday night, one Saturday night tonight. Let's go party it up. Forget the fact how much we hate Sunday evening, but we'll just ignore that right now because today's Saturday, morning. Let's go really enjoy it. If you're the kind of person that's just going to sit there and do all these things, Matt Morris, our number one incomer, says, okay, I'm not going to call you a loser, but you're not a winner. And it's like, if you surround yourself with those kind of people, I mean, that's just like average type life. Like I look back to some of my circles I had before World Ventures. It was just average. I mean, not that they were bad people, but there was no big goals, dreams, and aspirations. Then I got around people like this here, and my mind just expanded, and it can never go back. I mean, you learn what residual income is, and you can never shrink it back down. And again, you got to get around those kind of people if you're going to want somewhere. Because if you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. You might have to just surround yourself with people that think a little bit different. That's what I fell in love with, with a company like this. Another thing I'd love for you to touch on, Martin. You shared, I guess, 2 things. We can go over this one first. One of your talks you did, again, for everyone, if you've never actually gotten to be at a big World Ventures event, Martin's going to be the keynote speaker next weekend at our North and South American boot camp. We call it Millionaire Boot Camp. So it's people that are multi-millionaires at World Ventures walking you through a boot camp of how to get off your butt and actually make something happen. Martin's one of the keynote speakers at that event. So again, normally you got to pay a whole bunch of money to even get to hear from somebody like this. But normally people fly in, get a hotel and everything to hear him at a stadium. That's what's so crazy. We're still getting to hear from him right now. But you did a talk at one of those events I was at, and you talked about a rerun. And it doesn't matter where you're at right now. You can always reset that. And what got you where you were going, you need to rerun and go do it again. And this business is built on, runs and reruns. That was something that really helped us through our business. I don't remember. It was either when we were running to RMD or NMD that 100% helped us just kind of hit that reset button with everything. But that kind of ties into one of my favorite things I've always heard you talk about is people are going to get stuck. I don't know where that means they're going to, maybe you're stuck right now trying to figure out how to, you got your 4th person and one of them quit. Boo-hoo. I said, oh man, I have my membership free. Now one of them quit. And now we're re-questioning everything in life and all of our philosophy. It's like, it's all good. If your broke buddy had to quit to get his money back, no big deal. Let's just go find another broke buddy who doesn't want to be broke 6 months from now. And we work with them. All good. But you can get stuck right in the beginning. You can maybe, some people had a great run over the last month. Now they're sitting there going, it's not as easy as I thought it was. No business is going to go like this. At some point, you're going to have some kind of plateau, or you might even have some sort of a dip. In fact, you will have, these like this. If you think it just goes like this, you're in the wrong business. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's worth it because it's not easy that everyone can do it. It takes the mentally tough people and the people that grow themselves as leaders to keep going. But you can get stuck at any point. I remember you telling the story. You got stuck making a measly $30,000 a month. Now, keep in mind, Martin is well over $1 million a year earner. If you don't know the math on that, that's well over $83,000 a month. He was stuck at $30,000 a month. Now, he's not stuck there anymore, but would you mind just kind of touching on that? Because I think some people forget, you can get stuck anywhere you're at and then kind of what people can do to rerun to get out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I appreciate you bringing that up because it's interesting. I was just having this conversation with someone yesterday, a leader in the team. And they're just kind of stuck right now. And I'm like, well, welcome to the freaking club, man. It's all part of it. And if you get stuck, remember, it's all an opportunity. Well, it's an opportunity to see the opportunity, and the notion of it's we make these runs, and if you're not running in this business, if you want freedom, if you want true financial freedom, if you want life-changing money, you better be running. Because if you're just walking right now, you're going to get passed by a lot of other people who have a lot of other things going on. People are attracted, the people you're showing this to are attracted by the energy that you bring to it. So if you're just walking along towards your goal, chances are you're not going to create a following. You're not going to inspire other people to take action. When you're freaking running, people are going to wind up chasing you. If you're just walking, then you're basically chasing them, which just doesn't work. So, this whole idea of run, and then you hit your goals. And then you've got to do a rerun. Like David just said, sometimes the things that got you to where you are, director, marketing director, RMD, IMD, wherever it is, they may not get you to where you want to be. So you've got to adjust your thinking. You've got to adapt. Again, that's why I say constantly surround yourself with the thinking that outthinks you. Surround yourself with the people, follow the Eric Rosbowskis, follow the Keith Willis's, follow the people that got it going on. And then you're going to learn new things and be re-inspired. And then when you re-engage, that's the rerun. So you run and then you rerun. And ultimately, this business is all about running, rerunning, and then repeating. So it's run, rerun, repeat, run, rerun, repeat. And if you find yourself at a place where, call it a plateau, call it a comfort zone. I know a lot of people that I've seen over the years, they hit marketing director and they're like, I'm good. Oh my God, my life is amazing. I'm making more money than I've ever made. And they just start coasting and they get into that comfort zone. And then all of a sudden, boom, they hit a wall because they took their eye off their prize. They hit an obstacle and they weren't expecting the obstacle to come because they just thought everything, like you said, is going to constantly go like this or stay like this. And that's just not the reality of life, and therefore it's not the reality of any business. It's constantly about, it's always about constant growth. So there's a great saying, it says, a comfort zone may be a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And so I want you to keep that in your head. A comfort zone, it may look beautiful, but nothing grows there. And that means if you're in it, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then ultimately your business is dying. So my advice would be, as I've already said, attend the events. That's what got me in that place when I was making $30,000 to $40,000 a month, and I hit that comfort zone, and I just stopped doing the things that got me to making $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 a month. And bear in mind, I was actually making at that time over $50,000 a month. I stopped the personal development. I stopped waking up and meditating and reading. I stopped, jumping on conference calls. I stopped recruiting, new people. I stopped building myself personally. And then I stopped building new business. I was just trying to maintain my current business as an IMD making over $50,000 a month. As I just was trying to maintain and not actually grow new business, things began to slide backwards. My income dropped between $30,000 to $40,000 a month. And I was like, oh, and I started focusing on all the negative things or what I interpreted to be negative. And so my business went back even more. And that's when I was in this big comfort zone. And I literally, my best thinking was telling me, oh, I should probably just quit. I had never made $50,000 in a month ever in my life. I had made $48,000 my last year waiting tables. So here I am making more money in 1 month than it used to take me an entire year to make. And my best thinking was like, well, maybe I should quit. It's freaking stupid. But that's what happens when you stop working on yourself and you stop chasing. You stop your pursuit. If you get into management mode, I don't care if you're, 4 left, 4 right, 400, 4,000 left, 4,000. It doesn't matter. When you stop pursuing it and you stop working on yourself, something at some point is going to catch you and it's going to start snagging and pulling you backwards. So it was, what got me back was the rerun, was again, what I've already said is re-engaging in the business, getting around the people that were outthinking me and outperforming me, and going to the events, and number one, sponsoring new teams, sponsoring new people, and starting new teams. I started a new team, and then I started another new team. I started 3 new teams. One of them built really quickly, and then, just kind of petered out. The other 2 took off. And basically I went from about $35,000 a month to over $1 million a year in less than 18 months. And it was not rocket science at all. I just worked my ass off and stayed very focused on the one thing that I wanted, which was, I want to make over $1 million a year. And that was that. I mean, and I've seen other people do it in the business. I mean, David, I'm sitting here saying this, but you've done it. You're doing it. You went and sponsored whatever it is. I heard, I think it was 83 people in a, pretty short period of time, 6-month period of time or less. And boom, that's turned into thousands of new customers. That's the formula. It's not hard. It's just making the decision and using everything that you've got, using everything that's happening as the reason to go build, as the reason for someone new to join, as the reason to go to the next training, as the reason to get on the next conference call. So anyway.
That's so good. So we have over 500 people on this. I'm sure thousands are going to listen to this replay somewhere. Like, there's so many good things. I hope people really were catching through all that. Like, I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, wow. Okay. So you get to a point where you're making more money in a month than, you ever have before, sometimes even made in a year at other points in your life. But what really staggers me when I hear you tell that story is you could think, wow, I reached my full potential here. And that was like a third of where you're at now. And who knows where you're going to continue going. So like, I don't think we can ever dream big enough. Now, is it going to go fast enough? No, it took me 9 years to get to IMD. And I went through some of that same stuff. There's times, Crystal and I have talked about that, Martin, where, wow, let off the gas of the personal recruiting. Oh, let off the gas of the personal development. Oh, let off the gas of, let's try to maintain more than build new. All those, I feel like you were speaking right to me on that, because I promise you we would have hit IMD sooner if we would have understood that and grown as leaders the way we needed to. But you got to continue working on yourself. And again, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's never going to feel fast enough. It took me 9 years to hit IMD. That didn't feel fast enough. Yes, David Peach took him 10 months and 5 days. He'll tell you it didn't feel fast enough. It never is going to go as fast as you want it to. But obviously quitting or pouting, sucking your thumb, focusing on the negative, none of that's going to speed anything up, right? So you just, don't cut yourself short would be my point to what I'm really grabbing. I'm applying that to myself right now as I'm listening to Martin talk about that. Like wherever you're thinking you can get to, I promise you should probably grow that 5 to 10 fold, because, just do the best you can and stay consistent as long as it takes, but don't cut yourself short on what could be. So many people, they'll get to a rank or a dollar amount and they're like, man, because maybe you'd never been able to think to that point. Like you said, you got to continue setting bigger goals, bigger visions. And there can be an end in sight, obviously. It's not that you have to do this forever, never, but don't cut yourself short of what could really go and be possible. Like, I think that's a great testament to that. And then, I just think of, I'd heard, a training kind of put to me this way, Martin, where, if you take a graph, you have people growing and you only can really long-term grow to the extent of your leadership that you have. Now, how do you work on your leadership? Reading the right books, listening to the right audios. If you're not plugging into boot camp next week, I'm just telling you, you got no shot. Like all the 6 and 7 figure earners go to every single training. So if you want any prayer of being a 6 or 7 figure earner, if you're not taking those trainings as absolute mandatory seriousness, it's just not going to get you there. But it's doing things like that. So whatever your growth curve is of your leadership, that's where your long-term team is going to stay. Now, some people, they go through and they have bigger growth happen. There's a lot of people on this call, maybe this is their leadership curve and their actual growth curve has went like this. So their growth is actually right now right here. Their leadership is really down here. Well, what do you guys think is going to happen 6 months from now? See, one of two things have to correct itself. Either you need to correct and raise your leadership to handle that team, or your team is going to correct and come back down to what you're able to have. Isn't it funny how people can win the lottery and then they're completely broke a couple years later? Isn't it funny how professional athletes, not funny, it's sad, a couple years after they retire are completely broke, even in a worse position than when they first started? Why? Because they were only going to make as much money as their leadership was capable of handling. Have you ever noticed there's people that can get lucky in our business, but then it just kind of corrects itself out over a period of time? Or there's people that continue growing and working on themselves and then, why could Crystal and I be in for 8.5 years and all of a sudden have one of the biggest bursts we had ever had? Well, again, there's other things that tie into those things. So you got to always continue working on yourself as hard as you're working on your business. And you hit it right on the head too, Martin. You have to focus on new teams. I would say you take out of the time you're going to have in your business day. So you got 100% of your time that you're going to spend working on your business. 70% of that needs to be new team. 30% of it is maintaining. But so many times, myself included, I've gotten into those traps of you want to go spend 99.9% maintaining, managing. Marcus Setter, our director of training, talks about that. There's like 4 different stages of building. There's stage number 1, you are building and you're doing the recruiting, you're doing the hard work. Number 2, I'm going to butcher this, but you'll get the point. Number 2 is like, you're going to manage the people on your team that are now going to be the worker bees. And then when you can get promoted to number 3, you get to oversee the managers who are watching the people doing the work. And when you finally make it stop, let's say you get to Martin Ruof status. These are what the people that aren't where they want to be are thinking. When I finally get to Martin status, I am going to be the complete overseer of the overseers of the managers that are watching the people. No, you get to Martin's place because you stay as the person doing the work, creating the new teams. And, again, that's what I love. You want to be able to build a long-term, stable, lasting business for 14 years like Mr. Ruof has done. You build a skill set where you can start new teams, and then you're never desperate. So if one guy whines like a little whatever and they don't want to be a part of it anymore, rock and roll. You get to the point where you don't need anyone on your team. You can go and create that. Now you appreciate them and you pour in and you try to be the best leader you can to them, but you're not reliant in needing them. You're providing the value to your team, not your team's providing all the value to you. When you start getting that mindset, knowing I'm going to go and put in more work than everyone on my team, I can go and start more new teams. There's just a freedom in that. And I can just see that when you were talking to that. I went from 30 grand to over 80 grand a month in 18 months. How does that work? Because the leadership rises and you take that accountability and you go put the work in. There was no secret formula. There's no automated perfect little system. Yes, there's systems you put in place or not, but it was, you worked your face off. I guarantee that's what it was. The people that are winning, that's why people don't win. They aren't willing to put the work that it is to take. This is worth that hard work though, because it can pay you a lot more than just what you did over the last 2 weeks. I could have worked really hard in my chiropractic business, but I would have had to see that many patients all over again. Those of us who are willing to work hard right now, so you 500 and some listening right now live, you go work hard now, it can pay you a lot further than next pay period, or even next month, or even next year, or even next decade. Like what we start right now can go for a long time to come. That's why we take it serious. That's why we put the effort that we put into it. So those are a couple things I was gathering from that.
Awesome. It's you get paid for what you start and then what you choose to stick around to see grow. And ultimately, with this business, you're absolutely right. The things you're doing today and then tomorrow and the next day, the things you do consistently day after day, I would say about 90 to 120 days from now, it's going to really show up in your bank account. It's going to show up. It's going to start reflecting in the way that you probably want to see it. Now, the one factor in this, and David nailed it, is it's time. That's the one thing that we kind of don't have control over. We have control, but we don't. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So what we have control over is how we use it. Again, the decisions that we make, how we choose to use our time, that's the key. But we don't have control over how long is it going to take us to reach the goal. But we may not have control, but we have the influence. And all I can say is, again, it comes down to the decisions that you make and the consistent activity. I'll rephrase it, the consistent productivity. Some days you're going to have some days where it's just everything's firing on all cylinders and it's like everybody's joining. Then you're going to have days where you think you're firing on all cylinders, but nobody joins. Or you're going to show up and you're going to do an event or you do a Zoom or whatever, and nobody's like, there's no guests. And again, it's, it comes down to what are you going to choose? How are you going to choose to utilize that opportunity? Because, back in the day before coronavirus, we were doing these live travel events. I mean, my God, I would have, to this day, I would do events and nobody would show up. I'd be like, you gotta be kidding me. All right, cool. We're gonna use it as an opportunity to do a training because obviously we need to train on inviting, or we just need to train on, hey, shit happens. Sometimes we show up and nobody else does, but that's cool. The key is to focus on the fact that we freaking showed up. And guess what we're gonna do tomorrow? We're gonna show up because, you can look at it and go, oh, something wrong, the sky's falling. No, man, it's just welcome to network marketing. Welcome to business. Welcome to life. Mark Ascetta calls it a golf day. Welcome to, you're playing golf and Tiger Woods, Brooks Koepka, the greatest players in the world. Sometimes they have amazing days and they win a tournament or they finish in the top 10, and sometimes they miss the cut. It's just golf, man. So don't buy too much into the highs and the lows, man. It's just, you're going to have both, and recognize that leaders show up. Leaders show up, not when things are great and easy. Leaders show up when things are not easy and not going well, seemingly. And if you choose to be the person that shows up big and leads and raises people's mindset when things are down, like David did, like Crystal did during the pandemic, that will accelerate your business in ways that you cannot possibly fathom right now. So, anyway, so just what you were saying made me think of that. So.
Yeah. And I can't believe we're almost out of time already, Martin. I appreciate you so much for jumping on here. So let's do this as we kind of wrap up, and I can kind of give the last re-info for those that maybe don't know where to get registered for boot camp and everything. But what would you say to the person that, maybe this is only talking to 2% of the people on this call right now or that are going to re-listen to this replay, but like someone that really is going to do what it takes. They're going to do what it takes, and they're going to consistently do it as long as it takes to, maybe they have massive momentum now and they're going to put the gas on harder. Maybe they had momentum, it eased up a little, and they're going to slap it down harder than it was the first time. Like, what would you really speak to that person? Like, if you could really just kind of mentor that person for the next couple minutes on, really anything you'd want to say. If they were right there with you right now and, they got all the potential in the world, they got, they're hungry, they're coachable, they want to really make this happen. As someone who, has already helped, obviously created an amazing business yourself, but helped all kinds of people create huge 6-7 figure, kind of things. If they wanted to be that next person, what would you say over the next couple minutes to them?
Here's what I would say, and that's a great question. I would say, begin with the end in mind. What do you ultimately want? What does true success really look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? I want you to look at your life and have a real vision of your life 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. What does it freaking look like? And the more specific you can be, the better. Because the reality is, Mark Ascetta, the director of training, told me a long time ago, and I've heard him say it from the stage, so many times, and it's so true. He said, getting rich may be the hardest thing you will ever do, and it's worth it. I'm gonna say it again. Getting rich may be the hardest thing you'll ever do, and it's worth it. And the thing is that if you begin with the end in mind, then you can sort of deconstruct how you're going to get there. Because this business is not rocket science. This business is fun. When I worked at the restaurant, I worked my ass off, but I almost never was having fun. I'd come home and I was just like, oh, I got to get up and I got to go do this again tomorrow. You know, I've never had so much fun working quote unquote hard as I have in this business. Us, like right now, we're working. We're working right now. It's ridiculous. I go out and I do calls from my car, you know, and I'm driving around Lake Minnetonka in Wayzata looking at new homes. Like, and I'm doing conference calls, or I'm calling people and doing 3-way calls. Like, that's honest to God working. So the reality is that you got to begin with the end in mind. Again, you got to have a big, hairy, audacious goal. We call it a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. David said it, think big. And I want you to think bigger than where you're thinking right now, because if you just do what we say to do and just do what you see us doing and be consistent with it, over time, you're going to have the things that you want, and you're going to get a lot more than what you're expecting. You're going to get far more than what you're anticipating. This is a business of leadership. Yes, it is a business of duplication to a degree. But if you just follow the simple systems that are in place, you're going to start creating that duplication. And all duplication does is it puts more people in the system, which puts more people in the system, which puts more people in the system. But if you want to build that and you want to go beyond maintaining it, you want to constantly build it, then you got to start building leadership. Building leadership doesn't begin with the person that you sponsored or the person that's killing it in your team. Leadership begins with you. So again, I go back to, what's your goal? What do you really want? I'll tell you something. I'll finish up with this, is that, you know, had I known, like people ask me all the time, well, what would you do differently? Well, the only thing I would do differently if I could go back in time and start over is I would look at this as the business that it actually is and take it more seriously. I wasted a lot of time on crap that it just didn't need to waste my time on. I wasted a lot of time thinking about things and worrying about things that I didn't need to think and worry about. Had I just gone and built the business and focused on leadership and developing myself, I honest to God think I'd be further along than where I am right now. And I'm not knocking it, but it's interesting. You know, I would also look at this as from the point of view of, man, you know, this is a great opportunity to start using the money that you're making in this, if it's $200 a month or $500 a month or $1,000, to invest and to put your money to work for you. This opportunity, I'm telling you, will do so much more for you if you just apply yourself to it and have fun doing it. But again, begin with the end in mind, follow the simple system that we have. And number one, just have fun doing it, because it's not a complicated business at all. The only way it gets complicated is when you make it that way. So don't reinvent the wheel, follow the people that have what you want and just get after it. Simple as that.
Martin, I am so thankful for you taking a few minutes with all of us here. Again, Martin is one of the main speakers that'll be at our North and South American boot camp. If you haven't already registered, you can go to wveventreg.com. So wvevent.reg.com. Again, we will not have one of these calls. Obviously, we will all be plugging into our boot camp event there. You can hear Martin and a couple other of our absolute top of the top trainers all across the world. That will be this next Saturday and Sunday. You can do it all right from the comfort of your own home. They've put it together virtual. Nothing like this. As great as these calls are every Saturday, this would be like a 1 or a 2 out of 10 compared to the 10 out of 10 you're going to see with that type of just high-end production. This isn't going to feel like, it's people talking from their own homes or anything, as much as I'm grateful we get to do these. So just understand the quality of what you're going to get for a couple bucks is crazy. It'll still be very fun. It will not feel like some boring training. You're going to get an exact layout of how to really go do this from the people that, again, are doing it, have done it, and continue doing it at a very high level. And again, you're really going to see the impact World Ventures has been making on people literally all around the world. So again, Martin, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Everyone, thank you for jumping on. Again, the recording, you can get it on my YouTube channel, David Helgeson. Otherwise, we'll get it onto those Facebook groups. We will see you at boot camp virtually next week and back here in 2 weeks, same time, same number. Martin, thank you again. Everyone have a great weekend. God bless.